Have you ever been in an argument with someone who's completely wrong, but absolutely certain they're right? They have no expertise, no evidence, no logical argument, but they're more confident than you've ever been about anything in your life. And you're standing there thinking, how? How can someone so ignorant be so sure of themselves? You've probably heard people talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect. The idea that stupid people don't know they're stupid. That incompetence prevents people from recognizing their own incompetence. But what most people don't know is this.
Did you know I was personally dragged into the whistleblowing about the sexual abuse, trafficking of vulnerable women at the nonprofit organization with a false accusation by the female central to my story? I had support from some famous people like...
One man told me about being beaten by the police and left permanently disabled because of a woman's false allegation.
Hello, it's February 2026. Now, this video is going to be about things that I've discussed over many years, even perhaps recently. And I'm going to be tying this into my point, and I'm going to bring it all in together. Now, before I begin, believe it or not, I've had people actually complain and perhaps even be offended, which I'm going to get over, I'm sure, that I use the word commoner. They don't like the word commoner. And in one of my previous videos, I had mentioned alternative, so I'm going to go with the alternative. Instead of using commoner in this video, I'm going to use the word simpleton. And you'll understand why in a moment. So, simple people have a simple understanding. And that simple understanding creates a simple worldview, for example. And it's because of their simplicity and their simple understanding, they think they have everything figured out because everything is simple. And this is where we get into the whole Occam's razor nonsense, because most people are simple. Now, there are the more ambitious simpletons who artificially elevate themselves, for example, into various positions of authority. And this could be anything from politics to the very low tier of being a worker of some sort. And these people cannot relate to, for example, someone who has experienced life, because these people haven't done or experienced anything in their lives. And they automatically default, because they don't understand something beyond simple, that these people, for example, their story is just insanity. Now, there are many simpletons, unfortunately, who make claims of whatever, and they're merely delusional. And I've come across many over the many years, people coming to me with their story, and sometimes their story is based on a wrong in their lives, real or perceived. But these people think that they're on a mission or something. And unfortunately for them, it's just some sort of delusion. And it's these people who, for example, muddy the waters and make, as a descriptive, legitimate people crazy, because the rest of the simpletons default to, yeah, you're just like everyone else. Now, some of these more ambitious simpletons, for example, they may study as a descriptive something like the liberal arts theoretical pseudoscience of psychology and think that, oh, well, now that I've watched a 2-minute video to going to school for this kind of thing, I can diagnose. And the reality is they can't diagnose anything. I've highlighted, for example, the rose in the hand experiment. It wasn't the first of its kind. It wasn't the last of its kind. And I even participated in a similar type of experiment, not to the same degree, but had the same results. And really, these things are just, it's just nonsense for people to hide behind, to think, oh, well, I disagree with you or don't understand you, then I'm going to label you with this, and there you go. And these so-called practitioners who carry the delusion that they're some sort of medical doctor of the liberal arts theoretical pseudoscience of psychology, they prey upon the weak people, they prey upon the vulnerable. No different, in fact the same characteristics of a PDF file, and I'm using that instead of the other word just to see if this gets past the algorithms. So if you put PDF file, what it sounds like, that's what I'm referring to. So these people are literally no better than PDF files. And from this, we can go into my story and my efforts in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which I have recently shared a new featured introduction video to my channel, adding a little bit more information for clarity. And I also did a video short highlighting 5 key points that most people overlook. And what I've come to realize, say even fairly recently, how, and this is, you see some truthers recently call themselves truthers and freedom types. They may, for example, watch 30 seconds of one of my videos and think, oh, yeah, okay, I know what this is about. And they're absolutely clueless. They make assumptions. They're just as stupid as mainstream people. And I've come to realize that a lot of people assume that my story is merely just a run-of-the-mill, an everyday occurrence, false accusation by a female, which is not the case. And I've been very clear in many videos over many years what that's really all about. And then, because there's another part to this, they think that the other part is just your average run-of-the-mill everyday occurrence of police brutality. Again, not understanding that there's a lot more to it. What led up to that? Who was behind it all? And I'm the first to admit, I have done over many years, I don't have all the information of things that were happening as a descriptive behind my back at the time when all this was getting ready to erupt, and even afterwards. And I can only go by what I know and what I can prove. And I've shared a lot of samples of evidence, independent evidence of my story. And it's because of this realization of how it appears many people, when they get introduced to my story, automatically assume, oh yeah, this is just a run-of-the-mill. And this is why people really haven't been paying attention, because, oh yeah, this happens all the time. False accusations and police brutality. And they just don't give any more care, and, oh, they feel bad, it happened to me. Again, not taking the time to actually listen and learn what it's all about. And I've said many times over many years, this is not so much just about me, but about society and what's happening right now, still to this day. For example, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's not just limited to Calgary, it's Alberta as a whole. And when I see these people proud of Alberta, these Albertans, and I've said Alberta is a beautiful province, and Albertans are great people, but there's a handful of them that have become completely delusional crazy because of propaganda that they've drank the Kool-Aid on. And they're willing to set aside how Alberta is an extremely corrupt province, specifically Calgary. And when you have Edmonton, the other major city in the province, saying, yeah, Calgary is like really corrupt. And this is not just, I'm not talking about what the simpletons, the commoners are saying there. This is coming from within the politics, the legal professions, and law enforcement, how everyone's saying, yeah, Calgary, they're way worse than we are. And they admit that they have issues too. So I just really wanted to kind of lead into my new, current, to date, featured introduction video to my channel, and that video short highlighting 5 points that it seems like people overlook. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Just remember, I was one man against many, fighting a losing battle, but I still fought to the end.
That means press on. That means endure. That means God cannot fail, and you're not going to give up. That's not an option for a child of God. This means you are going to be delivered. Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people say, when is it going to get easier? When you die.